several people asked, what can we do about these guys riding around on these e-bikes and they flying up and down the road? I was over at Walmart the other night and it looked like the Daytona 500. And the e-bikes was racing around the parking lot and they wasn't watching nobody but what the other one was doing. And that's dangerous.
Yeah.
We don't have a whole lot of influence on the Walmart parking lot, but they can be doing that other places. I've seen the old sports complex.
They're at Food Line.
Yeah, but they're on the street, and you know, they don't pay any attention to the sidewalks, they don't pay any attention to flow of traffic. If they want to run on the wrong side of the road, that's where they get. They don't follow any traffic laws. And I don't know that it's all of them, but I know that there are enough that it's recognized. So that's why I wanted to have this brought up. So now, discussion.
I also have had citizens come to me and saying they're on the sidewalks, they're running these things, they're pulling out in front of them. And then I've had 2 or 3 come and says, oh, this one's got one, that one's got one, they all got DUIs, and this is how they're getting around town. They're buying these electric bikes. Is that legal or is it not legal? I don't know.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it probably very little. It sounds like a lot of the ordinances that they're talking about is what when we first started having a lot of mopeds in the city.
Yeah.
And the decals and stuff, that kind of stuff. So since mopeds now are forced to be registered, and I believe as well as insured, the e-bikes have kind of taken that void. So yeah, I mean locally, I'm sure guys who have received a conviction for DUI are probably using it as a mode of transportation.
Can they do that later?
Yeah.
Unless we change it or make an ordinance, then they can ride them, can't they?
Can they operate a motor vehicle or motorized on the roads without a driver's license if they're suspended, their license was suspended to operate on the highway?
It all depends on the wording on the actual, in the actual particular code section. Obviously, somebody can't drive either a motorcycle or a car or anything like that if they've been convicted of a DUI, unless they have restrictions. And a lot of folks mostly get restrictions from the courts, to and from work, that kind of stuff. Then there's other individuals who don't have the restrictions and they find other modes of transportation. You don't need to have a driver's license to drive a moped, but you do have to have it registered and insured.
So, is there any way we can put ordinance where they cannot ride on the street?
Sure, we do.
If they got a DUI?
I don't care what they got. They have no business on the street. I mean, on the sidewalk.
Sidewalks and then these parks.
Is that already in the code?
That's already in the city
Nobody's
code.
on the sidewalk?
Well, it's in specific areas. So if you take a look at the code section in the ordinances, and I'm sorry.
Don't want to haul back with across the road anymore?
Yeah. So if you look at the code section, yes, the downtown area is what's covered in the sidewalks for skateboards, bicycles, that kind of stuff. The rest of the city is, for the most part, open. So the enforcement is the downtown business districts, but the rest of the city, there really is nothing there that prevents that kind of stuff. So if you decide that, the ordinance in itself, I guess you guys can do whatever you feel is fit for the city. And then, if you want to make it completely illegal for anybody to ride a bike or something like that, it just depends on what the state allows us to do.
You mean like on the sidewalk? Here, in the whole
That was
city.
just like, we was talking about putting sidewalks out in Allegheny. If they could be able to ride on the sidewalk.
No, they shouldn't be able,
People walk.
like I said, the sidewalks are specifically, of course, designed for people to walk on. That's why you really don't want somebody skateboarding. Obviously, if they're skateboarding down the sidewalk, especially if the sidewalk's busy like Main Street, you're going to probably have an accident. That's why I think the ordinance in the downtown area is why it is. But it hasn't really been addressed for years. And this might be the opportunity to take a look at it, make the restrictions that you feel are fit for the city of Covington, and then it's up to us to enforce.
But now the way what you just said, the way the code's written, they can't ride on the sidewalk down here, but new sidewalks on Allegheny they could because it's not in the business
Or over at Food Line
That's
that
what he
way.
was saying.
Yeah, I knew it was really specific about the business district and downtown district. I don't really recall of anything else, anywhere else in the city where it says you can't ride a bike.
Be on those sidewalks. Yeah. What about, and I've
And
seen.
I might be confusing skateboards and bicycles and all that other stuff. It's just, it's specific. I know for a fact skateboards is definitely down in the downtown district. And then also, you know, you have these individuals, I know there's at least one guy that has like a unibike or whatever you want to call it. And
Looks like a unicycle, but he doesn't pedal.
You're going 25 and they're 25 and he goes by you at 35 or 40. I mean, he's flying on that thing.
now, if you reach the speed, and I don't remember exactly what it was, but we used to deal with this back. So mopeds that can go faster, I think it's 35. They automatically are defined as a motor vehicle. They automatically become a motor vehicle. So a lot of times, and I remember especially in Town Hill, you'd have guys riding down the thing. Mopeds would get up to 40 miles an hour. And it automatically made that vehicle, regardless of what is on that, it made it a motor vehicle. So if the individual was suspended, DUI related, he would get that. If the individual had no insurance, no registration, all that stuff would apply. So if the bikes, the e-bikes or anything, they get up to those speeds, it still falls under that. To me, I think it still falls under that state code, whereas if it goes too fast, it becomes a motor vehicle. And just to give you an idea, I know in the past that we've gotten somebody convicted for DUI, just like on Scooter you got back there. He was on the road, it's a motor vehicle, and they were drunk, so we wound up convicting him. That was years ago.
Well, I had a buddy that got it on a riding lawnmower, so there you go.
Yeah, same thing.
DUI.
I mean, that's a motor vehicle, technically. But when it comes down to with suspensions,
That's that fourth wheel.
My question to you would be, y'all can't clock them if they on the sidewalk and y'all on the road.
you talking about like the e-bikes or something like that? I mean, it just depends on, it depends on what we're using for one. So the radars that we have in the vehicles, you know, if you've got a car and a guy on a bike riding next to each other, it's going to pick the car up. It's not going to see the guy. Same thing if you took a car and a tractor trailer. It's going to pick that tractor trailer because that's the biggest thing it's bouncing off of, and that's the speed. So, but a lot of times, especially, you know, you get behind a moped or something like that, all the vehicles, speedometers are certified. So if I'm doing 40 and me and the person in front of me are doing the same speed, then that person's probably doing 42. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but
there's other ways.
What I'm saying is, if they over on the sidewalk and you on the road, can you pick them up over there?
If I was just sitting on the road or driving on the road,
Yeah,
and they gave me enough of a signal to go off, yeah, I could pick them up. The way the radar works is it's got a cone, so the more of an angle, it just basically, it changes the actual speed. It actually gives the driver the benefit of the doubt. So if you're at an angle a little bit more than, let's say, head on, they're going to show their speed a little bit slower than what it would normally be.
But are you going to pull people on e-bikes unless somebody's going to prosecute them? It's just going to be a minimal fine, right?
Well, that's another thing too, right? So, you know, speaking with, you know, if it's a civil penalty, a lot of times, you know, if we take it to court, you know, yeah, it can get tossed out or something like that. Obviously, you know, does it go against the driver record? Obviously, you know, if they don't have a driver's license, it doesn't really make a difference. So there's a lot of things to look into, and I don't have a problem looking into what's the best option for the city to help out with this. Me personally, you know, any type of anything other than 2 feet on a sidewalk, we could probably do that for the entire city, as long as there's a sidewalk there.
I'd like you to look into it if you would. I don't know about the rest of council, but
Anybody on a bicycle, they're supposed to follow the rules of the road. So if you blow a stop sign on a bicycle, it's just like blowing a stop sign on a car.
So does that go for the little gimmick one wheel deal that weaves in and out of traffic and
Yeah,
all that?
yeah, I mean, that to me would still fall under those things, and I'd have to look to see if anybody's ever been charged with that before and what locality and how.
I'm not even sure what you call that thing.
the unicycle.
Well,
I
we
wanted
guys-
to get one, but I wasn't allowed.
When you were talking about the different classes, I was trying to listen to see if that one fell in.
The thing's bad though, it's fast.
Yeah. So,
But I think we need to look at, especially the sidewalk part. I thought, you know, and this goes to show that I've never read it that close, but I thought it was sidewalks throughout the city. I didn't realize it was just downtown.
And like I said, it could be, I might be thinking about the skateboard code section, but I'm pretty sure it was skateboards and bicycles and that kind of nature of
If
stuff.
we don't do anything at all, first we need to do that.
Well, I think if he's willing to look into it though, let's see what we can do, and, you know, somebody gonna prosecute these people or they're not, you know, just see what you
Well, I
find.
mean, if we charge them, it's gonna go in front of a judge.
Right,
Usually
that's
there's
up to the
no
judge.
prosecutor there, it's just between us and the defendant.
Thank you.
On Amazon, I put in e-bike. Here's one that has 1,500 watt power motor. Says no more than 750. It'll run 35 miles an hour. The top speed is allowed by this code is 28 miles an hour. You're gonna have to read the daggone manual to see what's, read the specs, to see if it's a 750 or 1,500.
It's funny that you say that, because I did stop somebody years ago who claimed that they were riding a moped and it was a motorcycle. And when I went to court, he tried to argue with the judge that it was a moped and showed him the manual, and on the manual it said motorcycle. So, I mean, those things are what we have to do to enforce that stuff. But a perfect example is if I'm behind somebody and we're doing 40, we're going down a hill, regardless if we're going down a hill or not, that vehicle, whatever, it's a bike, and it's motorized, it becomes a motor vehicle, period. And for the most part, I'm pretty sure that's how it's classified, regardless.
Let's let him look into it.
Now, Mark, any restriction, the idea of restrictions due to a DUI, that's far out of our purview. We have no control over that, do we? Because since DUIs and all that come through court, I mean, we
They're all
can't,
state codes.
Yeah,
we can't restrict people because they've got a DUI. That's above our pay grade.
It's up to the judge to
Yeah.
decide what's restricted.
I'm more interested in, do we need to do something to protect
Yes.
the public?
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't care. I don't want somebody getting run over. We sit here and ain't done anything.
Or one on that thing hit a car or somebody and get killed, and then it comes back on us. Well,
I
not on
don't
us,
think
but
it can come back on us.
No, but it would come back on the driver. It would be bad.
I know, I'm concerned about safety. You know, I see the guys on the unicycles, for lack of a better term, they ride on sidewalks, they ride on the wrong side of the road.
Weaving in our
They
traffic.
got little flashing red lights on the back of the thing down at the ground that's on it. They're running down the road at night. You see a little red flashing light up the street, and you catch up with him on his daggone little, whatever that thing's called.
I know that, you know, as a law enforcement officer, you know, it's very difficult a lot of times. If you make a blanket kind of a city approach, the entire city, it's a lot easier for us to do the enforcement. I don't have to think if, well, am I in the right zone for this?
Right.
Am I in the right spot for this? And then that puts a little doubt in the officer's mind, and then it's easier for them just to move on to something else. But if they have a blanket, hey, you know, bicycles, skateboards, none of that stuff's supposed to be on sidewalks, period, it's a lot easier for us to go ahead and stop that person, advise them. A lot of times these type of campaigns, we'll go out there and we can, especially if it's something new, we can go out there and advise people for a month. And then after that, we can take enforcement actions.
What do y'all think about having Chris look into it?
Oh, yeah.
I think
We gotta do
we'd
that.
love you
I
to
just-
do it. I would.
Okay.
And it's, right now, there's not that many of them out there. Weather's warming up a little bit, but it's gonna get cold again.
Yeah.
We're not gonna see a whole lot of them until May, April, May, and there will be everywhere.
But we could get a control on it before it happens, and then maybe we'd save somebody.
Give me one of them 15 watt, 15 watt. I'm running that thing up here.
Yeah, and then one of the worst things that I've seen on the e-bikes was a kid who was delivering newspapers. And he was going, I think it was from Hawthorne, from the 300 block to the 200 block. He just blew right across the road. And I stopped him and I said, don't you realize that you have to stop? And, you know, he's like, no, I didn't think, you know, he doesn't know. So a lot of times, you know, with kids, they don't go through the rules of the road until they reach the high school age. So a lot of times they don't realize that they're subject to those particular rules.
I've seen them blow through stop signs.
Well, they were riding these electric skateboards, and they were down at Old Good News Church. And they were riding and swinging it out and going up by the firehouse and all that, and going right out in the road with them. And those things are fast too. I mean, it's just, somebody hit them, it'd be all over with.
Yeah. Good discussion. We've got,
Thank you. Thank you.
Marcus will find out some stuff for us, and Chris will find out some stuff for us, and we will address this again.